Hey everybody, it's Durger time. Thank you for joining me for another episode back in the temple for Azteca Underground. Now, if you are joining us for the first time, I don't know why, because you should be watching the first episode, but we are doing a reimagining slash sequel slash reboot slash kind of everything to Lucha Underground, one of my personal favorite wrestling promotions, and trying to do this sort of interesting what if with Azteca Underground in the year 2021. So some fresh faces, some old faces, some new storylines, some recurring storylines, a whole host of randomness and fun that we're going to have in this sort of a gritty grindhouse lucha libre promotion. Now, one of the reasons why this was taking a little bit longer to put out, though I don't expect this save is going to happen every week. It's probably going to happen every other week. I don't know yet for sure. So keep an eye out. Was we've been having some issues with the database. One of it was the something was going on with it behind the scenes. I kind of had to rebuild it, and in the process of rebuilding it, there were some elements that I was not liking with how the broadcaster was working, how the aggressiveness of some of the other companies. We were basically constantly getting rival bids for people, and it just doesn't work for what we're trying to do. So I kind of rebuilt the save a bit, brought us to where we need to be. One of the things I did is I gave everybody that works here a written contract. So they can't be stolen, because if we are emulating the Lucha Underground style, this is essentially the idea that a movie studio, some kind of production company that does Hollywood-based video, is running a wrestling company like this, right? And part of that comes down to having set contracts. So we gave everyone a 1-year exclusive contract. In order to do that, we also had to make the size of the company a little bit larger. So we made it a small size instead of tiny. It'll just work out better that way. To be quite honest, we're on the smaller side of a small. Like, we just achieved the amount. And the idea of that is just that, because we're being run by a bigger company and things like that, even though we have this alliance with MLW and AAA, the more of the Hollywood end that is kind of bringing this together is going to put that marketing push for us, right? So we're going to be at a bigger standing, a larger standing than if we were just starting out. So that's kind of what we're doing here. So we changed some stuff around, not a lot. Everything's still going on. Our storylines are all relatively the same. Added a few extra ones actually as well that I hadn't added. But you may see some small differences here and there. Some small differences in naming or gimmicks and things like that. So don't be shocked if you see something, because I try to replicate it as much as I can, but there were problems. Actually, before filming this, because I didn't make a database backup, I lost the original database that I remodified and had to go in and make a new save for the second or third time to rebuild this. So it's been cursed ever since the start, but not a big deal. I think we got it all set now, and we're pretty much ready to go. In terms of backstage stuff, nothing really crazy going on. Our backstage ratings are not perfect. We do have some new issues that had occurred in getting this up to speed, so I just let you guys know that. We had Leah Rush doing karaoke. We had a fight with Sexy Star and Evilise, which I think something similar to that happened at episode 1, so it actually kind of worked out okay. In order to try to curb some of this, I'm going to right now drop some like, I guess, behavioral performance rules in the back, and I am going to make sure transport is organized. I think that should be good. I'm gonna actually add a chiropractor in the back as well. Hopefully, as long as we balance these out, it should be okay. So we had 1, 2, 3, 4. 1, 2, 3, 4 should be good. Chiropractor, I think, is cheaper than the hotels being paid. Let me see. Dependent on the size of the roster. Doesn't really tell me, but it'll also reduces injury risks. Wow, I can't talk today. Transport, I don't really know. It seems like it's dependent on everything. Would be nice to have that information, but for now, that'll work. It hopefully should affect our behavior, kind of improve some of that. But we do have some bad behavioral people in here that are going to be a bit of a problem. Backstage is having a negative effect. So let's pay to transport. There we go. Perfect. That will do. That's going to cost a little bit more money, but we can handle it. It's not the end of the world. Now, our event shows are just Azteca Underground. So we're just showing that. We have Tough TV on a late night time slot, so it's not necessarily the best time, but it should be fine. Our broadcasting, we have a very minimal quality, thankfully. For both of them are not bad. Azteca's not going to renegotiate with us because we kind of cheated our way onto there. Tough TV would. So, and Tough TV needs us, so we're in the spot where we can be. I don't know if we could actually adjust the time slot at all. Because we're at late night, prime time 44. It's a possibility. Right now, I'm fine with being late night, just because I don't know what our production value is going to be. I don't know how we are really going to look when it comes to what our ratings are. Our first show wasn't as well rated as I would like, so I'm a little cautious about that. I don't know. I just want to check real quick before we get into it. I don't know what Tough TV's range is in terms of it doesn't tell us here. I don't know how many. Maybe it shows up in broadcasters. I want to see how many places. Okay, there they are. Coverage. So we're pretty much being shown everywhere in the U.S. and then only 4 events we have to worry about Azteca, actually, for the looks of it. So for the most part, we're just running in here. We might also want to look for a coverage for Mexico, because that would be another one that would be smart for us. So let's see here. Anybody willing to negotiate? Nobody yet. Okay, so for now, Tough TV is what it is. Azteca for the events. Not sure if I actually like that, but that is what it is. Let's go ahead and let's fast forward and get to our second show. All right, we are set to be broadcast on Tough TV, and we had our last show. This rating's a little bit different. I think we screwed something up in there, but it's fine. Do have some absent workers still, mostly Nick Gage, who tentatively I've been calling the man they call Gage. I'm still looking for a good name. A lot of people are very upset about the idea of changing his name, but that is what we do here on Azteca Underground, is people play different characters. I'm still partial to calling him Zodiac personally, but we'll see. He's still out. When he gets back in, we'll finalize it. We'll figure it out. Something about just him being Nick Gage and also being a serial killer to me is not that great. Someone had a John Wayne Gacy kind of ripoff that was pretty good too. So keep sending them. We're gonna finalize a name for him. We do have an incident with Blue Demon Jr. and Vampiro. Oh, jeez. Blue Demon Jr. almost got into a fight with Vampiro after causing some damage to his rental car and refusing to pay for it, as his employer now had to choose how to deal with him. I'm gonna fine him and be done with it. So, one of the things that's fun about this, and I think a lot more mods need to do it, is that we happened to pick some people that have some big behaviors. So you're going to probably see a lot of backstage incidents, but that's what makes it interesting. I find a lot of times most people in mods, including this one that we're playing right now, are just a little too balanced, not enough personality in those characters, because a lot of people that play complain that they become problematic, but that's the point of the game. So to me, more the better. Us having to handle those morale issues, that's part of wrestling. That's part of being a booker. That's part of being a promoter. That's what we're going to do here. So bring more on it, for all I say. Let's go crazy. Now, we can meddle, and I think we will. We want to probably avoid providing friendships to some of the more problematic people. So let's just say, why not Casey Navarro and, I don't know, Aerostar? Why not? Didn't work. Didn't expect it to. It's fine. We are gonna be in the temple. We're expecting how many people? 321. We have our show costs or our ticket sales at very low, because our goal is to just try to get as many people into the film studio. It can hold 1,500 people. It only costs us 600. So it's not that bad for us. We're probably going to get about 1,500 for our pay-per-views, because we're going to do a couple special events. We're not going to happen often. It's probably going to happen maybe twice in this season, I'm guessing. Probably one for Aztec Warfare and one for Ultimate Lucha, and that's about it. And they're only going to be like 2-hour shows. This is really more of a TV-focused promotion, so that's kind of how we run it. Let's go ahead and select this, and let's get ready to book our second episode and see what's going on. If we want a quick recap of the first, for those that may be watching for the first time or don't quite remember, at the very end, we had a mysterious bald man arrive at the temple, and Katrina, who I was calling Catalina, was offering to Dario a cryptic message that saying that everyone else may not remember, but she does, and she knows that he can bring him back, kind of hinting at Mil Mortes. Dario also offered Hammerstone a unique opportunity, and Dario also has this bizarre artifact of some sort, some kind of green amulet or green crystal that he's been holding on to, and we don't really know what's going on with that. Thunder Rosa also starting to attack Holly, aka Rosemary, and Holly is a very green, very girl next door, should not be here, and Rosa seems to want to prove that. So we got some interesting developments here going on, and we definitely have to introduce some more characters this episode as we start to kind of branch out and show what everyone's doing. All right, well, let's get on with the show, and I'll catch you guys in the temple for another Azteca Underground. Alright guys, we are back and ready for our second episode of Azteca Underground. Not as much done as I wanted in this show, but that is the nature of 1 hour. We have a lot of characters to introduce and not a lot of time, so it's going to be a slow burn, but we're going to get back to some things, and don't worry about that. So let's go ahead and let's get into the show and find some new characters and some new predicaments. We start the show outside of the temple. a limousine pulls up to the dilapidated sidewall of the old factory turned blood sport den. The silence of the night is broken up by the deep thuds of the bass inside the limo, blaring a deep, loud music, breaking way into a loud treble as the electronic window slowly cracks downwards, revealing a bald man with sunglasses, clearly only for style during the deep twilight of the evening. Inside the limo with him, two men that looked as though they were all too familiar with the justice on the streets. The man in glasses speaks up to the two, saying, "Man, so this is the place." He's looking at his phone, probably his GPS, confirming the destination had arrived. One of his entourage looks more nervous than him and blurts out, "Yo, Famous, maybe we should just go back to the recording studio. This place doesn't feel right." Famous B scoffs at him and goes, "Man, I thought you were from the street. Why are you looking so afraid of this place right now? This is nothing. It's just a scary facade. It's to spook people from going inside. Yeah, I've been training all summer. It's fine. I can go into a ring. We can fight some people. Listen, when people see this, when they hear that Famous B showed up here, the socials are going to light up. This is our way back. We just got to tough it out. Come on in." And Famous B exits the limo, and his two entourage join him seemingly reluctantly. We get a adequate for our gimmicks and a poor for Ricky Ray's here. The entourage not looking as tough as they should. This segment underperforms for us, unfortunately. And we start the all for a record deal storyline as allegedly famous rapper Famous B shows up in the temple. We start to show off with Dario Cueto in his office, or exiting his office, I should say, and goes to make an announcement. And he says that tonight is a big main event, a triple threat match for a very special opportunity. We still have no champion in this temple, but those opportunities need to be earned. Only with the gift of the gods can a challenger emerge. And he unveils a large championship belt with 7 circular indentations on its face. In his other hand, a fist-sized medallion engraved with a stylized, Aztec-styled animal on it. These 7 medallions represent the 7 tribes of the Aztecs. These tribes all need champions. When all 7 champions are found, they will fight for the gift of the gods, and that man or woman may challenge for the Azteca Underground Championship. One man qualified last week, the movie star known as Hammerstone. Now, he will face 2 others tonight that had caught my eye for the first medallion. Good luck and let's lucha. So we continue and advance the story here for Hammerstone. Segment gets a 35, kind of an underperformer here. I might need to tweak Dario's ratings, I think, because he should be pulling in a pretty strong microphone work. If he's not, I think he might not be set correctly. So we might do that after behind the scenes here. Now, we have our first trios match between Famous B and his entourage versus Superfly, Dragon Lee, and Killshot Nero. It's sort of just an exhibition match to give Famous B a win. It had subpar wrestling, a little heat, though. It's an 8-minute match. Famous B pins Superfly, and Dragon Lee was definitely ahead of everybody, which is why we protected him. But we're trying to give Famous B a little bit of a win, a little bit of a popularity bump. And Dragon Lee got a pour for his luchador gimmick. Killshot, though, got a great, and we gained heat for Famous B's storyline. Gets us a 38. It's a little underwhelming. Much better, we have Dario Cueto back in his office, talking to someone who had joined him, then sitting down. And Dario says, "I'm surprised to see you here." You weren't the type I'd expect in my temple, to be frank. And we see who is sitting there with him. It is Carlito, who is well known in older WWE circles after the Ruthless Aggression era. And he sits there, and he's got a kind of a peculiar expression. He's not quite the guy we know. It's an interesting kind of uncomfortable pain in his eyes, mixed with those eyes of someone that's been hungry for a while. There's a sort of a purpose behind him. And Carlito says, I've been to a lot of places all over the world. I've not had the strongest career. I know that. I've always been the guy around the guy, And you want to change that, Dario inquires, with a bit of a devious look upon him. Carlito nodded. I have so much to offer. I just need to prove it. I need to prove to the world that I am that guy, and I've always been. Dario nods and says, well, then let us see then. And we start the segment, the storyline for Carlito, that is, legends must die for stars to rise, which is not ominous at all. And he gets a great for his contentious veteran gimmick. Gets us a 42, and pretty good. And we have Roosh with a new name, Guatemoc. Cheyamak? I forget how to pronounce it. I gotta look at it. Versus a local jobber, B-Boy. And he has an extremely short match. He gets... Oh, that wasn't supposed to be DQ'd. It was supposed to be KO'd. It's supposed to be a knockout, actually. But 52 for Roosh here. 27 for B-Boys. Ends up being a 31. It's a squash match. Got the crowd buzzing. And afterwards, Guatemoc is standing in the ring looking very dominant, his eyes blazing with fiery intent. His outfit bearing a striking resemblance to the Aztec warrior skirts. So if you kind of ever seen those images of the drawings, that mixed colors and the long, almost like pillars of skirted pleating, kind of very similar to that. And beside him, and a person who had joined him in the ring, is Vega, who proudly enters the ring with a microphone and starts speaking to the crowd while slowly moving around her prize fighter. And she says, you see before you a true Aztec warrior, born and bred to fight to the death. This man is simply called Guatemoc, a name and spirit that has been bestowed upon his family of true-bred fighters from generation to generation. Within him resides the gifts of the fiercest of his ancestors. We have come to Azteca Underground for one reason: to fight, to dominate, to reclaim the glory lost. And all those who dare defy us will simply crumble in his wake. So we have Vega kind of going to a bit of a valet work, like her work in NXT, though she can wrestle, so we're definitely going to have her do that, and gives Roosh a new identity as sort of this Aztec warrior. I don't know what his actual ethnicity is. I almost want to say I feel like he's actually Puerto Rican, but I'm not 100% positive. But if you can put Prince Puma, put Ricochet as Prince Puma as a natural bred Aztec, I think I can do that to Roosh. Though he may be actually Mexican. I don't remember specifics, but kind of another interesting rebranding of trying to make a character out of him that's a little bit different than what he's used to. And we have Carlito fighting Apollo, who's not quite going to be he's kind of one of our older enhancement talents, I guess, and he doesn't do very well here. So I think we're probably going to throw him to the side pretty quickly. It's a pretty terrible match, actually. Poor Carlito, putting in a good performance, but Apollo was really dragging it down. This was also a wild brawl. I just wanted it to be quick and violent, but I think it was a little too much for them. Carlito and Apollo had great chemistry, though, which is interesting. And Carlito defeats Apollo very quickly with a backstabber. It's a 2-minute match, just very short, very vicious Carlito. Something we haven't really seen before, because that determination in him. Gets us a 27. It's not fantastic. After the fact, Dario is in his office still, watching from the blinds, the Venetian shutters of his office, as he's watching Carlito quickly dispatch Apollo. He's grinning at the sight, clearly seeing something that he's very happy with. Behind him, though, a familiar voice manifests. And in frame, the back of Katrina can be seen. "I hope you have not forgotten our deal. I want him back," she says ominously. Dario does not bother looking back at her, simply fixated at watching the end of the match here. And he says, "These are not things that are simply in my power, or the power of my clients. It requires sacrifice. It requires flesh. You know this. Give it time. I will stay true to my promise." So again, Katrina seemingly trying to bring back someone. For those that have seen Lucha Underground before, obviously you know who her client is, her master almost, that she's bound to. And we're definitely bringing that back in. Dario kind of hinting that he maybe is still under service of somebody. Things are obviously different in this than they are in Lucha Underground, but there's still ties and things going on. And Dario seems to be suggesting that, with some kind of blood sacrifice, that they might be able to bring back Mil Muertes for Katrina. And we have Chavo and Shaw versus the Mac and Sean Hernandez. It did not have much heat and had terrible wrestling, which has been the story of this show lately. Chavo Guerrero and Shaw Guerrero defeat the Mac and Sean Hernandez in 6 minutes. Shaw Guerrero actually gets the win, pins the Mac with a gory bomb, which is kind of hilarious. But Shaw has a 17. A horrible performance here. Chavo has a 38. Sean has a 31. Mac has 40. And the crowd's not too thrilled with her. I think we're going to have to maybe change some directions here, as I did not expect that performance to be so poor. Wow. After the fact, we have Chavo being quite pleased in his victory, but his face turning to horror as he sees his, I guess, niece. Is he in? What is their actual relation? I always forget. Sees Shaw lashing out and attacking a downed opponent. He picks her up, literally pulling her off the guy, and she kind of just seems vicious in a way that he does not like. He pulls her to a corner, admonishing her. She looks quite frustrated with him and just simply pushes him off and out of the way before just leaving the ring. So sort of this wicked roots in the family, advancing some problems within the Guerrero line here, building up, and we don't know where that's going to lead. And then in our main event, which does better, definitely, AJ Hammerstone in a triple threat against Drago and Laredo Kid. It's subpar. It's not amazing, but it does okay. Hammerstone defeats Drago and Laredo Kid in 12 minutes. After Hammerstone pins Laredo Kid, illegally using the ropes for leverage, and wins the tribal medallion of the reptile. So I made each of these technically a winnable title, but I don't think they stay with them. I made it like a tournament title. For attempts to track the lineage, just should make it a little bit easier. But basically, each of these will be won by one or more people. When all 7 are accounted for, there will be a big match between all 7 for the Gifts of the Gods. And at that point, they can then use it like a Money in the Bank briefcase, for those that have not seen Lucha Underground, to basically declare at least 1 week in advance their intent to fight a challenger for the actual championship, which is vacant right now. So technically, we're gonna have to find either another challenger in a different way, but we're gonna have to. It'll be whoever has all these tribal medallions, or whoever wins the match after all the medallions are accounted for and declares to fight whoever the other challenger is. So this gets a 46. It's not bad. Got the crowd buzzing. After the fact, we have, as Dario comes out to give Hammerstone the medallion, he is shocked as though he's seen a ghost as Big Rick debuts with a very determined look as he comes barreling towards Dario. Dario runs away. Laredo Kid, unfortunately, while not aligned with Dario, seems to just kind of get in the way. Maybe that kind of honorability trying to catch up here. Big Rick quickly scoops him up and gives him a big power bomb. And as he tries to get him out of his way, at this point Dario is gone and Big Rick looks pissed. So we have this returning, this mysterious person who seems to have a vendetta against Dario. Don't know what that story is. And poor Laredo Kid got caught in the crossfire, and that gives us a 37. It's unfortunate. This is definitely not the best rated show. Some of this is going to be a problem with just having some of these guys not being popular enough in America yet. So hopefully our show can fix that. And once we see where their skill levels are, we're going to know a little bit better how to adjust and build that story up for them. We increased our popularity in one region. We actually lost in one, which is unfortunate. Still not having enough storylines going on that's interesting. So some of them are not hot enough. I think we can get it there, but definitely is hurting us a little bit. We may want to look at also giving ourselves a boost here, since we are losing some popularity. Maybe going with our broadcast looking a little higher might be worth the money, just to not lose. I don't want to lose popularity. I don't care if we don't gain popularity, but I definitely don't want to lose popularity in a region. All right. So we'll see how it goes. It was pretty good. We need to do better than pretty good. Had 349 fans. It's not going to get us a lot of viewers. We also had a problem. I forgot to actually sign the Mac as an exclusive, and he immediately signed up with WWE, which was actually one of the problems that we were having with with the previous save. That's fine. We can let the Mac go. We have 28 days to do something with him, and we'll give him a couple matches and move him out. It's not a big deal. He was not necessarily ever going to be a main star for us. As much as I like Willie Mack, he's a fantastic wrestler, but was not really going to be a focus for us. So that's an unfortunate reality. We also have Jeff Cobb, who we've signed up, who's not going to be showing up for a while. He has a swollen calf muscle. Not a big deal. He's not going to be showing up for much later in the show. So not the end of the world. So that was episode 2. Definitely we have to adjust some things. Our storylines, we need some more that are hotter. We need 3 storylines at 35 heat. We were close with Big Rick. We don't know our heat with Carlito yet, which is interesting. So we kind of have to. Not sure why that did not give us a rating yet. We got some going on with Holly. That's not doing bad. This one didn't perform. Again, this is interesting that this did not build the heat for us. I think this will be fixed in the next episode, as we kind of build on these a little bit more, because we have a lot of storylines in the works, a lot of plates to spin, and as we're still continuing to introduce new characters, because there's a lot of the roster we have to introduce. All of them are going to have something going on for the most part. Might not be right away, but the plan is to have some interesting things all spinning around at once as we're kind of flowing through things in this very heavily narrative-focused game. Hope you guys liked episode 2. Thank you for joining me in the temple again, and I will see you guys next time for another underground fight in Azteca Underground. Thanks for watching.